Hi, and welcome everybody to the beginning of the week, Monday, October 3rd. You know what that means. It's a Monday. We're always joined by Mr. Doug Upstone of DocSports.com on this Winner's Circle sports betting podcast. My name is Ross Benjamin, and his is Doug Upstone. Doug, how are you, my friend? How was your weekend?
Everything was good, Ross. Had a lot of just from a personal standpoint, had a lot of good stuff going. My son's birthday was over the weekend, so that was nice. And let's see, had a lot of nice results. Well, it actually went back to Thursday when we last did the video. I had my game of the year in baseball. That was the winner. It got tense late, I can tell you.
Who'd you have,
But
Doug?
I had Colorado. I'm sorry, I had San Francisco Thursday on the run line, and it was 6-0 going into the ninth inning. And it ended up, it was 6-4 with a runner on third base with two out. So
now, one went your way.
See these nails? There's not.
Yeah. Well, did you put that in your black book?
I did not, because it didn't go to extra innings. It just felt like it did.
Right. Anyway,
and
I
had a 7-unit play on Sunday with the Dallas Cowboys, which was a very public play. But hey, you know what? The public does win. People forget that.
Yeah. I mean, the general rule of thumb is going against the public's usually a pretty good idea. But like Doug just said, if you just follow that theory, the public does win a share of the time. Not a good share.
No.
A lesser share, yes. But sometimes if you can catch that lesser share at the right time, the way you just did, it pays dividends. And, more and more, I try to ignore that because it used to influence me way too much and got me off of some winners that I would have had. So I try to find a happy balance. And
I never look at it at all, to tell you the truth.
You're better off for it, probably.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I mean, like this past weekend, I saw the sports books in the NFL. Now they lost, and they lost because of the three biggest public positions, which was the Raiders, the what was the other one? Raiders. Oh, there's one more besides Dallas, and it's just I'm drawing a blank as to what it is. But hey, Ross, how about your Buffalo Bills?
Hey, man.
You gotta love analytics, don't you, Ross?
Oh, yes. Listen, my brother's from Baltimore, and okay. He gave it to me pretty good when I went to the Bills game a few years ago, and they lost 24-17 at home. And, since then we beat them in the playoffs. And then, of course, yesterday. And I says, you know what? Harbaugh's a great coach, but I've seen time and time again in recent seasons where he's become a victim of his own arrogance and confidence. And he said, well, what do you mean by that? I said, well, look, hindsight's always 20/20, but the game is tied 20/20 with little over 4 minutes to go, and it's 4th and goal from the 3-yard line. 31 out of 32 NFL coaches would have kicked a field goal there. You take the lead, you trust your defense. Yeah, I get Buffalo was on an offensive roll. Yes, I know how good Buffalo is offensively, but you held Buffalo to a little over 300 yards in that game, and that was for the total guard. It was 326 yards to be exact. They held them to, which is a major accomplishment this year against Buffalo, even last year. But even having said that, it was less than 300 yards at the time you made that decision. Okay. Now people will say, well, look, they went right down the field and they scored from the 1-yard line anyway. Well, wouldn't you agree, Doug, that, that's fine and dandy, but you never know. You kick that field goal, there may be a lot more pressure on the Bills offense to score not only a go-ahead touchdown, but a tying field goal, as opposed to, okay, let's get this down as far as we could. In the worst case scenario, we go to overtime. Big difference. Okay. And the chances, I would say, I don't care how good the opposing defense is, that you're still forcing the other team to go to length of the field in the last 4 minutes. And obviously the message he sent was he doesn't trust his defense. And, Doug, it's not just that game. I've seen him do it on a few occasions over the last couple of years. And I don't know. What's your thoughts there? I don't know if you had the same observation, but
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, well, the other part into this equation is they had not scored since the second quarter. Baltimore,
right.
I'm referring to, and so that they just drove 93 yards
And
to
come
get to
away
the
with
3.
nothing. Yeah.
Okay, and to walk away with 0 points at that juncture, like you said, a field goal, that means they have to have a touchdown to beat you. I mean,
Right.
it's as simple as that. So depending on how it goes, that will also then the mindset of Buffalo is different. Okay, if we get, if we get the field goal, we can go to overtime. We're playing better at the moment. We can beat them. Okay.
Yeah.
But now it's tied. It's like they got a new lease on life because now all we need is a field goal.
Right.
Okay. As it turns out.
And when you got inside the 20-yard line and they wasted their last timeout, well, they didn't waste it. They had to use it. I should say inside the 10, and they took their last timeout. Then they ran Devin Singletary. He went down on purpose to keep the clock rolling at the 2-yard line. And then every naysayer in America came out wondering why they were kneeling on the ball there. Well, it was quite obvious. They were running the clock down, took a timeout with 3 seconds to go, and they bring on their field goal kicker for a game-deciding 19-yard field goal. Having said that, Doug, if the game's tied, you may not have the luxury of winding that clock all the way down, okay? You would have had to go for a touchdown. You wouldn't have chanced it by running the clock down and trying to get a touchdown with no time to go. So there could have been a possibility the Buffalo would have scored that touchdown with a little over a minute to go, and your offense still has a chance. So I just don't see the upside in going for it. Now, he looks like a genius if he makes it, right? But I would still maintain my own position on that was too risky a move at that juncture of the game in a tie game, regardless of the offense you're playing. In your defense, again, I can't elaborate on this any further. Your defense during that drive that you had the ball, at that particular moment in time before Buffalo got the ball back, you had them held under 300 yards, a season low. So
there's two things. Number one, okay, nothing wrong with having a lead with 4 minutes to go. Okay,
no, most coaches would agree.
Yes.
Matter of fact, most of us would agree.
And the second thing, the quote that he said that stuck in my mind from his press conference, he said, the analytics said that's the right play. Okay. And if you live in 100% world, well, I'll tell you what, he ought to try some sports handicapping sometime because I love to take every favorite that is minus 25 or higher in football and say, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah. Or like Chip Chirimbus used to tell me all the time when I'd have a real good betting angle. I don't agree with him on this, but he makes a good point. I said, this betting angle has gone 74% since 1983. He goes, well, that means 26% of the time it lost too, right?
Right.
So
I have a retort to that, but I'm gonna let that go.
I did retort to that, but I'm just saying. Anyway,
he's not wrong.
No, he's not. In any event, we got a couple NFL free picks for you. No, college football free picks for you on games that go on Friday night, folks. Every day we work, they all blend in together. Excuse me for my error. Anyway, let's get right to them, Doug. You're going to be taking a look at the Big Ten battle between the Nebraska Cornhuskers that traveled to Rutgers to take on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, 7:00 on Friday evening. Right now, Nebraska 3-point favorite and 51 is the total. And boy, oh boy, Nebraska's coming off a win, Doug.
How about that? Those Cornhuskers, they look great in beating Indiana. 35-21. But it's just, we were just talking about absolutes. Well, how would you like to have had some money that coming into this game record in this game, that Rutgers would have a better record than Nebraska, okay, at the start of the season, because Nebraska is just 2-3, whereas Rutgers is 3-2 in this one. Now, both of the Scarlet Knights' losses, though, have come in Big Ten play, including last week against Ohio State, whereas, as Ross just mentioned, Nebraska's off a win, 1-1 in the Big Ten. Now, we know the story with this crew from Lincoln. Offensively, not a bad team. Okay, they're 48th nationally. Okay, averaging in total offense, averaging almost 440 yards per game. The conundrum for the Nebraska Cornhuskers is defense, giving up 32.6 points per game, and they rank 126th in total defense, which means there's just 5 other teams worse than them so far this season. Now, Rutgers, conversely, is the exact opposite. They're ranked 19th in total defense. And then other than Ohio State, though, however, let's be honest, okay, if you're looking at offensive juggernauts this year, you're not going to mention Boston College, Wagner, Temple, or Iowa, okay, this season. But still, you know what? They held the Buckeyes 125 yards below their season average. So that, they're not too bad. The problem, though, for Greg Schiano's club, that offense. Averaging 330 yards per game. They're 106th in total offense. The only thing that they really seem to do well is they control the clock with the running game. They're averaging over 32 minutes of time of possession, and they're 167th rushing the ball. Not bad. But once again, same problem as there's been the last several years. They don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball and spin it, create first downs, make plays, any of that stuff. Their latest one to not do so well is Evan Simon, sophomore. Can he get better? Sure. But right now, it's not there yet again. Now, while I can certainly, Ross, make a case for the Scarlet Knights because of their defense, running game, and playing at home which is going to be a national telecast on FS1. I'm going to back the even scarier road favorite, who has a terrible history of losing close games. But you know what? For my money, the passing game of the Cornhuskers is absolutely superior. Scott Frost is now out of the picture, so I would think that at least if the game's close late, if they have a little bit of a lead, I think they're going to be much more comfortable. Rutgers is 116th in passing yards. They're 1-9 at home the last 3 years in Big Ten against Big Ten competition. For me, it's not easy, but the children of the corn are going to be my choice to get the job done to win and cover over Rutgers this Friday night.
So Doug Upstone, he likes the Nebraska, and as I said, the Cornhuskers, -3 over Rutgers at Rutgers on Friday evening. Again, folks, that game goes at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I believe it's on ESPN.
No, FS1.
FS1, okay. So in any event, Doug likes Nebraska, later points on the road against Rutgers.
And fingers crossed, by the way, just so.
So talking about stinking, I got a game for you on Friday night. Colorado State, Nevada. Doug, this has to be the stinker bowl of the week. So in any event, let's get right to it. Colorado State comes in with an 0-4 record. Not only have they lost all 4 games, but they've failed to cover in all 4. And they've lost those 4 contests by an average of 30.5 points per game. How bad is it for Colorado State? Well, in their previous game, they hosted Sacramento State. Sacramento State, who plays at the FCS level, and they actually closed as a home underdog against an FCS team, and that certainly didn't motivate them because Sacramento State just whipped them 41-10. Wow. Anyway, look, at least Nevada, they're 2-3. They got off to a 2-0 start, and they've lost their last 3. The last 2 coming on the road, both of those losses, all 3 of, matter of fact, since 0-3 straight up in ATS since those 2 opening game wins. And they lost all 3 of those contests by 14-plus points, the last 2 of which came on the road at Air Force and at Iowa. So here you go, Doug. Write this down. And write this down, folks.
Let me get my pen. Okay.
All right. Okay.
All right. I got it.
Anytime you have a college football home favorite of 14 or less, like Nevada is in this situation, and are coming off back-to-back road losses by double-digit margins, which they are, and they're facing an opponent like Colorado State, who's coming off a loss by 28 or more. They lost 41-10 to that powerhouse Sacramento State last week, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me. They do have a week of rest. Anyway, those college football home favorites of 14 or less have gone 13-1 against the spread since 2013, and they won all 14 of those games straight up. And what was the average line in those games? I'm glad you asked. The home favorites were an average of -6.4, and those home favorites also won those 14 contests all straight up by an average of 17.3 points per game. I'm going with the lesser of two evils here, Doug. The Nevada Wolfpack -3.5 over the Colorado State Rams. And Doug, he likes Nebraska -3, on the road at Rutgers. Your thoughts, Doug?
Yes, well, I have a good friend of mine who he made his biggest bet on the season totals. So unfortunately he's going to be rooting against you because he had Nevada at under 3.5. So he wants to protect that as long as he can. But you know what, Ross? You're right. This one stinks to high heaven. It's an absolute beauty. It is a game that is made on a Friday night for people to watch and have money on it. So yeah. I would say Ross Benjamin is the one you got to follow on this one, because
somebody's got to cover, right, Doug?
That's right. Somebody. Well, a push wouldn't be surprising with these two teams. But no. All kidding aside, no, I think you're on the right side on this one. And it makes sense to me. But boy, oh boy, it's not an easy one to take. Just like the one I got myself.
No. Sometimes you have to make what we call uncomfortable picks.
Yes.
Those are the picks when you look at all the data. It makes you quiver because it sides with a team that's not very good. Now, usually my adage, Doug, will be don't ask bad teams to do good things for you. But when you got two bad teams, you're just hoping the bad team that you're on does a couple more good things than the other team. So
the lesser of evils. So
exactly. So, Doug, tell the folks what you might have coming up this coming week. And how you did over the weekend. You said you had a good weekend. So
yes, I had a solid weekend. Better now. It might be better by the end of tonight, though. Got a couple things going tonight. I got a teaser going tonight between the Rams and the 49ers. So I know we got a short window before this game starts when you might see this video, but so that's available. And I also got a 3-pack of props on the same game. Okay, got some things I really like quite a bit, and so I put all those together. So those are both available at the Doug Upstone page at Doc Sports. As I mentioned, coming off a nice 7-unit winner on the Dallas Cowboys, so that was good. So trying to keep the momentum going. I for sure will have a winning NFL week no matter what happens tonight. So that's a positive. And right now I'm set up to have a winning college football. But one of the games I have got moved to Wednesday. Okay, because of the hurricane. So I have to wait for SMU and UFC to play. And so if it goes the way I want, that'll be another winning week. And Ross, we got the Major League Baseball still rolling as we head into October. Got the playoffs starting on Friday. We got 3 days left in the regular season. And I'm a 23-11 run, up over $4,400. So happy with that and anxious to watch the Major League Baseball playoffs, because boy, there's nothing like it when you get in that 9th inning of a tight game. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any other sports, but when it just comes that pitch by pitch stuff, with baseball, it's wonderful to watch.
Yeah, as long as you're not siding with teams that are managed by Joe Madden or Tony La Russa.
Yes, well, Tony La Russa's done. Well, actually, they're both done for the most part.
Yes. Anyway,
go ahead, Ross. What do you got?
What do I have? Okay. 3-4 in the NFL this past week. However, I did have a 10-star top play on Cincinnati on Thursday, and I had a 10-star top play yesterday on the New England Patriots, plus 9.5 over your Green Bay Packers. They lose the game in overtime. Hard to overcome when you're a favorite and you throw a pick six like they did, like Aaron Rodgers did yesterday, which was only his second pick six he's ever thrown at home in his career.
Isn't that crazy?
So I was fortunate there, Doug, and so I could still come out of this with a winning week as I have the winning side tonight, the Rams and 49ers. Again, if you're viewing the video before that game goes off, you want to check me out. But my NFL on the season, 16-9, 64%. My college football, 16-13. That's going to improve. And going back to last year, 52-39 with my college football since October 30th of last year. That's good for 57%. And I know that doesn't impress a lot of people, but me and Doug both know 57% will make you a large amount of money when you put out the volume we do. So again, you can get me at rbwins.com, rbwins.com, Major League Baseball playoffs, NFL, college football, big weekend store ahead. And also the same thing with Doug. I told you I was going to bet on this guy. He had gone through a difficult time for a couple weeks. I told you he's going to come back, and lo and behold, what did he do? He won. So you could find Doug at docsports.com. Folks, one of the best handicappers in the country, and yours truly at rbwins.com. For Doug Upstone and Ross Benjamin, I'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care, and God bless, folks.